Words have the power to build a future or destroy an opportunity. They can create friendships, open doors, inspire people, and change the direction of an entire life. Every human being communicates every day, yet very few truly understand the psychology behind powerful communication. Most people speak without realizing that every word, every tone, and every expression creates an impact on the minds of others. Ability to speak smart is not about using difficult vocabulary or sounding more intelligent than everyone else. True smart communication is the ability to express thoughts clearly, confidently, and persuasively while creating trust and connection with the people around you. The smartest communicators are not always the loudest people in the room. They are often the individuals who understand people deeply and know how to make others feel respected, understood, and valued throughout history. The most influential leaders, teachers, entrepreneurs, and visionaries possessed one extraordinary skill. They knew how to communicate effectively. Their success was not based solely on knowledge, talent, or education. It was based on their ability to transfer ideas from their minds into the minds of others. They knew how to inspire action, motivate people, and build strong relationships through the power of communication. Many people spend years improving their professional skills, but ignore the skill that determines how those abilities are perceived. A person may have brilliant ideas, but if they cannot communicate them effectively, those ideas may never receive the attention they deserve. On the other hand, someone with average knowledge but excellent communication skills often gains opportunities, respect, and influence because they know how to present themselves and their ideas in a compelling way. Powerful communication is deeply connected to human psychology. Every conversation involves emotions, beliefs, perceptions, expectations, and experiences. People do not simply listen to words. They interpret them through the lens of their own thoughts and feelings. This is why the same message can produce different reactions from different people. Understanding this psychological reality allows communicators to connect more effectively and avoid misunderstandings. One of the greatest misconceptions about communication is the belief that confidence is something people are born with. Many individuals admire confident speakers and assume they possess a natural gift. In reality, confidence is developed through practice, experience, and self-awareness. Every skilled communicator once struggled with fear, nervousness, and self-doubt. The difference is that they chose to improve rather than remain limited by their fears. In today's world, communication has become more important than ever. Professional success depends on interviews, meetings, presentations, networking, and leadership. Personal happiness depends on healthy conversations, trust, understanding, and emotional connection. Whether speaking to one person or thousands, the ability to communicate effectively determines how others perceive us and respond to us. Technology has connected people across the world, yet many individuals feel more disconnected than ever. Messages are often misunderstood. Relationships suffer because of poor communication. Workplaces experience conflict because people fail to express themselves clearly. In such an environment, mastering the psychology of communication becomes one of the most valuable skills a person can develop. This book is designed to help you understand the hidden principles behind powerful communication. You will discover why some people immediately capture attention while others struggle to be heard. You will learn how confidence influences perception, how emotions shape conversations, and how understanding human psychology can dramatically improve your ability to influence and connect with others. Goal of this book is not to transform you into someone else. The goal is to help you become the most confident, effective, and authentic version of yourself. Communication should never be about pretending to be perfect. It should be about expressing your true thoughts and ideas in a way that others can understand, appreciate, and remember. As you move through these chapters, you will discover that speaking smart is not about speaking more. It is about speaking with purpose. It is about understanding people before trying to persuade them. It is about building trust before seeking influence. It is about creating connection before expecting results. Every successful conversation begins with understanding the human mind. Every powerful message begins with clarity. Every influential speaker begins. As a learner willing to improve, the journey toward mastering powerful communication starts with a simple decision. The decision to become aware of the words you use, the emotions you create, and the impact you leave behind. The ability to speak smart can transform careers, strengthen relationships, increase confidence, and unlock opportunities that once seemed impossible. The principles you are about to learn are not theories reserved for experts. They are practical realities that can be applied. Every day, in every conversation, your voice has power. Your words have influence. Your communication shapes your future. The question is not whether communication matters. The question is whether you are ready to master it. Welcome to the journey to the journey of mastering the psychology of powerful communication. Chapter 1. The psychology behind every conversation. Every conversation that takes place between two human beings is much more than an exchange of words. On the surface, it may appear that communication is simply speaking and listening, but beneath that surface, a complex psychological process is taking place. Human beings are constantly evaluating, interpreting, judging, and responding to one another, often without realizing it. Understanding this hidden psychological process is the first step toward becoming a smart and powerful communicator. Many people believe communication begins when a person starts speaking. In reality, communication begins before a single word is spoken. The moment people see each other, their minds start collecting information. They observe appearance, facial expressions, body language, posture, energy, and confidence levels. Within seconds, they begin forming impressions about trustworthiness, competence, friendliness, and authority. This psychological process happens automatically because the human brain is designed to make quick judgments. Throughout history, these judgments helped people determine whether situations were safe or dangerous. Although modern life is very different from the past, the brain still uses the same mechanisms today. This means that before people fully understand your message, they are already forming opinions about you. Smartest communicators understand this reality. They know that communication is not just about delivering information. It is about creating an experience that makes people want to listen, trust the speaker, and engage with the message. One of the most important psychological principles in communication is perception. Every individual sees the world through a unique lens created by personal experiences, beliefs, fears, values, and expectations. Because of this, two people can hear exactly the same sentence and interpret it in completely different ways. Imagine telling someone that they need to improve a certain skill. One person may view your statement as helpful advice, while another may interpret it as criticism. The words remain identical, but the perception changes the meaning. This is why communication failures often occur even when intentions are good. Powerful communicators recognize that understanding the listener is just as important as understanding the message. They do not simply focus on what they want to say. They think carefully about how the other person may receive and interpret their words. This awareness dramatically improves communication effectiveness. Another important aspect of communication psychology is emotion. Human beings like to believe they make decisions logically, but emotions play a powerful role in almost every interaction. People often decide how they feel about a message before they fully analyze the facts. When someone feels respected, they become more open to listening. When someone feels attacked, they become defensive. When someone feels inspired, they become motivated to act. When someone feels understood, they become more willing to trust. This emotional reality explains why communication is not only about information, it is also about emotional connection. Facts may inform people, but emotions move people. Great communicators know how to create positive emotional experiences. They speak in ways that make others feel valued, appreciated, and understood. They understand that people remember how conversations made them feel long after they Forget the exact words that were spoken. Confidence is another psychological factor that significantly influences communication. People naturally respond differently to confident individuals. Confidence signals certainty, competence, and leadership. Even when two people possess the same level of knowledge, the person who communicates with confidence is often perceived as more capable. This does not mean confidence should become arrogance. Arrogance pushes people away, while genuine confidence attracts respect. Smart communicators balance confidence with humility. They believe in their message without feeling the need to dominate others. Many people mistakenly wait until they feel confident before speaking. The truth is that confidence usually develops through action. The more a person practices communication, the more comfortable they become. The more comfortable they become, the more confident they appear. This creates a positive cycle of growth. Fear is one of the biggest obstacles to effective communication. Fear of judgment, fear of rejection, fear of embarrassment, and fear of failure prevent countless individuals from expressing themselves openly. These fears often exist not because of actual danger, but because of imagined negative outcomes. The human mind has a tendency to exaggerate potential threats. A person preparing to speak in front of others may imagine making mistakes, forgetting words, or being criticized. In reality, most audiences are far more supportive than. These fears suggest smart communicators learn to manage fear rather than eliminate it completely. They understand that nervousness is natural. They accept it and continue communicating anyway. Over time, their courage grows stronger than their fear. Listening is another psychological element that separates average communicators from exceptional ones. Many people listen only long enough to prepare their next response. They focus more on speaking than understanding. As a result, conversations become shallow and disconnected. True listening requires attention, curiosity, and patience. It means focusing fully on the other person without constantly thinking about yourself. When people feel genuinely heard, they experience a powerful sense of validation. They feel respected and valued. This psychological need to be heard is universal. Every human being wants to feel understood. Smart communicators satisfy this need by becoming excellent listeners. Another fascinating aspect of communication psychology is the desire for significance. Every person wants to feel important, whether consciously or unconsciously. People seek recognition, appreciation, and respect. This desire influences behavior in countless ways. When individuals feel ignored, they often become withdrawn, frustrated, or defensive. When they feel appreciated, they become more cooperative, enthusiastic, and engaged. Powerful communicators understand this psychological need. They make people feel important without using manipulation. They acknowledge contributions, express gratitude, and show genuine interest in others. As a result, relationships become stronger and communication becomes more effective. Empathy also plays a central role in powerful communication. Empathy is the ability to understand another person's emotions, experiences, and perspective. It allows communicators to see situations through someone else's eyes. Rather than viewing everything from their own point of view, people naturally trust those who understand them. They feel safer sharing thoughts, concerns, and ideas when they believe the other person genuinely cares about their perspective. Empathy does not require agreement. It simply requires understanding. A communicator can disagree respectfully while still demonstrating empathy. This balance creates trust and mutual respect, even during difficult conversations. Authenticity is another critical psychological principle. People are remarkably skilled at sensing insincerity. Even when they cannot identify exactly what feels wrong, they often recognize when someone is pretending. Authentic communication creates trust because it feels real. Honest emotions, genuine intentions, and consistent behavior make people more credible and relatable. Authenticity does not mean saying everything that comes to mind without filtering. It means expressing thoughts honestly while remaining respectful and considerate. People trust authenticity because it creates predictability. They know where they stand with authentic individuals. And this certainty strengthens relationships. Attention is another psychological resource that communicators must understand. Modern society is filled with distractions. Smartphones, social media notifications, advertisements, and endless streams of information compete constantly for attention. Because attention is limited, communicators must learn how to capture and maintain its stories. Are powerful because the human brain is naturally attracted to narratives. Questions stimulate curiosity and encourage engagement. Personal experiences create emotional connection and relatability. This is why memorable communicators often use stories, examples, and meaningful experiences rather than relying solely on facts and statistics. The psychology of communication reveals an important truth. Words alone rarely determine success. The way words are delivered, interpreted, and emotionally experienced often matters even more. People respond to confidence, authenticity, empathy, emotional connection, and trust. These psychological factors influence how messages are received, remembered, and acted upon. When communicators understand these principles, they gain the ability to influence, inspire, motivate, and connect at a much deeper level. Example: a young employee named Ali joined a large company after graduating from university. He possessed strong technical knowledge and consistently produced high-quality work. However, during meetings, he rarely spoke because he feared saying something wrong. Whenever opportunities arose to share ideas, Ali remained silent, while less knowledgeable colleagues expressed their opinions confidently. Managers noticed those who spoke, but often overlooked Ali because they were unaware of his abilities. One day, Ali realized that his problem was not a lack of knowledge, but a lack of communication confidence. He began studying communication psychology. He learned the importance of eye contact, active listening, calm body language, and clear speech. Instead of focusing on avoiding mistakes, he focused on helping others understand his ideas. During meetings, he started sharing simple observations and suggestions. Gradually, his confidence increased. His colleagues began listening more carefully. Managers started asking for his opinions. Projects that once seemed unavailable became opportunities for him. Within a year, Ali earned the promotion and gained the respect of his team. His knowledge had not changed significantly. What changed was the way he communicated that knowledge. By understanding the psychology behind communication, he transformed how people perceived him and how he perceived himself. This example demonstrates a powerful lesson: success in communication is rarely determined by intelligence alone. It is determined by understanding people, emotions, perceptions, and human psychology. Those who master these principles gain the ability to influence their environment, create stronger relationships, and unlock opportunities that might otherwise remain hidden. Chapter 2: Why Smart People Often Struggle to Communicate Effectively. One of the greatest surprises in life is discovering that intelligence alone does not guarantee effective communication. Many highly intelligent people possess extraordinary knowledge, skills, and expertise, yet struggle to express their thoughts in ways that others can easily understand. At the same time, individuals with average knowledge often become successful leaders, entrepreneurs, and influencers because they know how to communicate clearly and confidently. This reality can feel unfair to those who have spent years developing their knowledge. Yet, communication and intelligence are not the same thing. Knowledge exists inside the mind, while communication is the ability to transfer that knowledge into the minds of others. A brilliant idea has little value if it remains trapped inside a person's head. Many smart people assume that if an idea is clear to them, it should automatically be clear to everyone else. This assumption creates one of the most common communication mistakes. They forget that other people do not possess the same information, experiences, and understanding that they do. As a result, they often explain concepts in ways that are too complex, too detailed, or too technical. The listener becomes confused, frustrated, or disconnected, not because the idea lacks value, but because the explanation lacks clarity. Powerful communicators understand that communication is not about proving intelligence. It is about creating understanding. The goal is not to impress people with how much you know. The goal is to help people understand what you know. Another reason intelligent people struggle with communication is overthinking. Their minds constantly analyze possibilities, outcomes, risks, and details. While this ability can be extremely valuable in problem solving, it often becomes an obstacle during conversations. Instead of speaking naturally, they begin evaluating every word before it leaves their mouth. They worry about saying the wrong thing, sounding foolish, or being misunderstood. This excessive mental activity creates hesitation. Hesitation reduces confidence. Reduced confidence affects communication. The conversation becomes more difficult than it needs to be. Meanwhile, individuals who spend less time overanalyzing often communicate more freely because they focus on expression rather than perfection. Perfectionism is another major challenge. Many intelligent individuals set extremely high standards for themselves. They want every sentence to be accurate, every explanation to be complete, and every statement to be flawless. Although this intention appears positive, it often creates problems. Communication is a human activity, not a perfect performance. When people become obsessed with perfection, they hesitate to speak until they find the perfect words. Unfortunately, perfect words rarely exist. As a result, opportunities pass by, ideas remain unspoken, contributions go unheard. The pursuit of perfection becomes the enemy of progress. Smart communicators understand that effective communication does not require perfection. It requires connection. People are usually more interested in understanding your message than judging every word you use. Fear of judgment also affects many intelligent people. Ironically, the more knowledgeable a person becomes, the more aware they are of what they do not know. This awareness can create self-doubt. They become cautious because they recognize complexity, uncertainty, and multiple perspectives, while others confidently express simple opinions. Intelligent individuals may remain silent because they see additional factors and possibilities. This psychological pattern often causes highly capable people to underestimate themselves. Meanwhile, less informed individuals may appear more confident simply because they are unaware of what they do not know. The solution is not becoming less thoughtful. The solution is learning to communicate. Despite uncertainty, confidence does not require knowing everything. Confidence requires trusting yourself enough to contribute what you know. Another reason smart people struggle is their tendency to focus heavily on logic. Logic is important. Facts are important. Evidence is important. However, human beings are not driven by logic alone. Emotions influence attention, decisions, memory, and behavior. A message filled entirely with facts may be accurate, but still fail to inspire action. People connect with stories, experiences, emotions, and meaning. Great communicators combine logic and emotion. They provide information while also creating connection. They help people understand intellectually and feel emotionally engaged. This balance dramatically increases communication effectiveness. Many intelligent individuals also assume that others think the same way they do. They expect listeners to process information at the same speed, analyze situations similarly, and reach conclusions through the same methods. Unfortunately, communication rarely works this way. Every person possesses unique experiences, beliefs, learning styles, and perspectives. What feels obvious to one person may seem confusing to another. Smart communicators recognize these differences. Instead of speaking only from their own perspective, they adapt their message to fit the needs of their audience. Adaptability is one of the most valuable communication skills a person can develop. Another challenge involves the curse of knowledge. Once people become experts in a subject, they often forget what it felt like to be beginners. Concepts that now seem simple once required significant learning and practice. Because experts forget this journey, They sometimes explain information using advanced language assumptions and shortcuts that confuse newcomers. This creates a gap between knowledge and understanding. Smartest communicators constantly bridge this gap. They simplify without oversimplifying. They educate without overwhelming. They make complex ideas accessible. This ability often creates greater influence than expertise. Alone communication also requires emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence involves understanding emotions, managing reactions, and recognizing how feelings affect behavior. Many intelligent people focus primarily on intellectual development, while neglecting emotional awareness. As a result, they may unintentionally appear distant, impatient, or disconnected. People rarely remember how intelligent someone seemed. They remember how that person made them feel. Emotional intelligence helps communicators create positive experiences. Positive experiences strengthen relationships. Strong relationships increase influence. Influence creates opportunities. Another obstacle for smart people is the fear of appearing vulnerable. They may believe they should always have answers. They may feel pressure to maintain an image of competence. This pressure creates stress. In reality, authenticity often creates more trust than perfection. People respect individuals who are honest about challenges, mistakes, and limitations. Authenticity demonstrates confidence because it shows a willingness to be real. Powerful communication is not about appearing perfect, it is about appearing genuine. One of the most important lessons intelligent people must learn is that communication is a skill separate from knowledge. Just as musicians practice instruments and athletes practice movements, communicators must practice expression. Knowledge grows through learning. Communication grows through use. The more conversations people engage in, the more comfortable they become. More comfortable they become, the more naturally their intelligence becomes visible. Success comes not from hiding intelligence behind silence, but from sharing intelligence through effective communication. The goal is not to sound smart. The goal is to be understood. When understanding occurs, influence follows naturally. When influence grows, opportunities expand. When opportunities expand, success becomes more likely. This is why communication remains one of the most important skills any intelligent person can master. Example: a university professor named Hamza possessed exceptional knowledge in his field. Students admired his expertise and respected his academic achievements. However, many struggled to understand his lectures during class. He used advanced terminology, complex explanations, and detailed theories that often confused beginners. Although his information was accurate, students left lectures feeling overwhelmed. One semester, Hamza attended a communication workshop where he learned the importance of simplicity, storytelling, and audience awareness. He began changing his teaching style. Instead of immediately presenting complicated theories, he started with simple explanations and real-life examples. He focused on helping students understand before introducing advanced concepts. The results were remarkable. Student engagement increased dramatically. Questions became more frequent. Learning improved, and course evaluations reached their highest level. Hamza had not become more knowledgeable. He had become a better communicator. His expertise remained the same, but his ability to transfer knowledge transformed completely. Example demonstrates a powerful truth. Intelligence becomes truly valuable when it can be understood by others. Knowledge may create potential, but communication unlocks that potential and allows it to create real impact in the world. Chapter 3. The power of confidence in communication. Confidence is one of the most influential forces in human communication. It affects how people see you, how they respond to your ideas, and how much trust they place in your words. Long before people evaluate the quality of a message, they often evaluate the confidence of the person delivering it. This is why confidence can dramatically change the outcome of conversations, opportunities, relationships, and careers. Many people believe confidence is a gift that some individuals naturally possess, while others do not. They look at successful speakers, leaders, and communicators, and assume these people were born with exceptional self-assurance. The reality is very different. Most confident communicators were not born confident. They developed confidence through experience, practice, learning. And persistence confidence is not something that magically appears one morning. It is something that grows over time through repeated action. Every time a person speaks despite fear, confidence increases. Every time a person expresses an opinion despite uncertainty, confidence grows stronger. Every time a person survives an uncomfortable conversation, confidence expands. Reason confidence is so powerful is because human beings naturally respond to certainty when someone speaks with confidence. People tend to assume that person knows what they are talking about. Confidence creates an impression of competence, reliability, and authority. This does not mean confidence is more important than knowledge. However, confidence allows knowledge to be noticed. Without confidence, even valuable ideas may be ignored. While with confidence, those same ideas often receive attention and consideration. One of the biggest enemies of confidence is self-doubt. Self-doubt is the internal voice that constantly questions ability, worth, and potential. It whispers that you are not good enough, not experienced enough, not intelligent enough, or not prepared enough. This voice exists in almost everyone. Difference between confident people and unconfident people is not the absence of self-doubt. The difference is their response to unconfident. Individuals listen to self-doubt and allow it to control their actions. Confident individuals acknowledge self-doubt but refuse to let it determine their behavior. They move forward despite uncertainty. Understand that waiting for complete confidence often means waiting forever. Many communication problems begin before a conversation even starts. A person imagines possible mistakes, embarrassing moments, criticism, or rejection. These negative mental pictures create anxiety before any real event occurs. The human mind is extremely powerful. People repeatedly imagine failure. They often create unnecessary fear. When they repeatedly imagine success, they strengthen confidence. This is why mental preparation plays a crucial role in communication. Way people talk to themselves influences the way they communicate with others. If someone constantly repeats negative beliefs, such as "I am bad at speaking," or "people never listen to me," these beliefs gradually become part of their identity. Eventually, they start behaving in ways that reinforce those beliefs. On the other hand, when individuals focus on growth, improvement, and possibility, they begin developing a stronger self-image. A stronger self-image creates stronger communication. Confidence also depends heavily on preparation. Many people want confidence without preparation. Unfortunately, confidence built on wishful thinking rarely lasts. True confidence grows when people know they have invested effort into learning, practicing, and improving. Preparation reduces uncertainty. Reduced uncertainty increases comfort. Increased comfort strengthens confidence. Is why successful communicators spend time preparing for important conversations, presentations, and opportunities. Preparation does not eliminate nervousness completely, but it significantly reduces fear. Body language also plays a major role in confidence. Communication is not limited to words. Posture, facial expressions, eye contact, and physical presence influence how others perceive us. When people stand confidently, maintain eye contact, and speak clearly, they project strength and certainty. Interestingly, body language does not only affect how others see us, it also affects how we see ourselves. The body and mind constantly influence each other. A confident posture can increase feelings of confidence, while a defeated posture can reinforce insecurity. This psychological connection means that improving body language often improves inner confidence as well. Another important aspect of confidence is accepting imperfection. Many people believe they must communicate perfectly in order to appear confident. This belief creates unnecessary pressure. The truth is that even the best communicators occasionally make mistakes, forget words, lose their train of thought, or experience nervousness. Perfection is not what creates confidence. Acceptance creates confidence. when people accept that mistakes are part of growth. They become less afraid of failure. This freedom allows them to communicate more naturally and effectively. Fear of judgment is another major obstacle. Human beings naturally care about what others think. This concern is normal and understandable. However, excessive concern can become paralyzing. Many individuals remain silent because they fear criticism, rejection, or embarrassment. Unfortunately, silence often creates greater regret than mistakes. Years later, people rarely regret the conversations they attempted. They regret the opportunities they avoided. Confident communicators understand that criticism is unavoidable. No matter what someone says, there will always be people who agree and people who disagree. Trying to please everyone is impossible. Instead of seeking universal approval, they focus on expressing themselves honestly and respectfully. This mindset creates freedom. Confidence also grows through competence. The more skilled people become in a particular area, the more comfortable they feel discussing it. This is why learning and personal development remain important. Every new skill, every new experience, and every new challenge overcome strengthens self-belief. Confidence becomes stronger when it is supported by real growth. Another psychological principle behind confidence is action. Many individuals wait until they feel ready before taking action. Successful communicators often do the opposite. They take action before they feel completely ready. They understand that readiness often develops during the process rather than before it. Every conversation becomes practice. Every interaction becomes experience. Every experience becomes growth. This creates a cycle where action builds confidence and confidence encourages more action. One of the most powerful qualities of confident communicators is calmness. Calmness signals control. When people remain calm during difficult conversations, they appear trustworthy and capable. This does not mean they never feel nervous. It means they have learned how to manage emotions rather than being controlled by them. Calm communication allows clearer thinking, better decision-making, and stronger connections. People naturally feel more comfortable around individuals who project calm confidence. Authenticity also strengthens confidence. Pretending to be someone else creates stress because maintaining a false image requires constant effort. Authentic communicators speak from their genuine experiences, values, and belief. They do not try to imitate others. They focus on becoming the best version of themselves. This authenticity creates consistency. Consistency creates trust. Trust increases influence. Influence enhances communication effectiveness. Confidence is ultimately not about becoming fearless. Fear is a natural part of life. Confidence is about acting despite fear. It is about trusting yourself enough to move forward even when certainty is impossible. Every successful communicator eventually discovers this truth. Confidence is not the absence of nervousness. Confidence is the decision that your message matters more than your fear. When people embrace this principle, their communication begins to transform. Their words become stronger. Their presence becomes more noticeable. Their influence becomes greater, and their opportunities begin to expand. Example: a young woman named Aisha worked in a growing company. She was intelligent, hardworking, and creative, but she avoided speaking during team meetings. Whenever she had an idea, she worried that others might criticize it or think it was foolish. As a result, she remained silent while less experienced colleagues shared their opinions openly. One day, her manager encouraged her to present a proposal she had developed. Aisha felt nervous and considered declining the opportunity. However, she decided to prepare thoroughly and face her fear. She practiced her presentation repeatedly, studied the subject carefully, and focused on communicating clearly rather than perfectly. On the day of the presentation, she still felt nervous, but she delivered her ideas with confidence and sincerity. The proposal received positive feedback, and several of her recommendations were implemented by the company. That experience changed her perspective. She realized confidence did not appear before action. Confidence appeared because of action. Over time, She continued speaking in meetings, sharing ideas, and accepting challenges. Her reputation grew, and she eventually became one of the most respected voices within her organization. The abilities that led to her success had always existed. What changed was her willingness to communicate with confidence despite uncertainty. Her story demonstrates a powerful lesson. Confidence is not reserved for a fortunate few. It is available to anyone willing to practice, take action, and trust their own voice. Chapter 4: The Art of Listening Like a Powerful Communicator. Most people believe that powerful communication is mainly about speaking well. They spend years trying to improve their vocabulary, develop confidence, and learn how to express their thoughts more effectively. While these abilities are important, they represent only one side of communication. The other side is listening, and it is often the side that determines whether communication succeeds or fails. The greatest communicators in the world are not simply great speakers. They are great listeners. They understand that people do not only want to be heard, they want to feel understood. This desire exists in every human being, regardless of age, background, education, or profession. Many communication problems occur because people listen with the intention of replying rather than understanding while another person is speaking. They are already preparing responses, forming arguments, or thinking about what they want to say next. As a result, they hear words but miss meaning. True listening requires something different. It requires attention. It requires patience. It requires genuine interest. It requires the willingness to place another person's perspective ahead of your own for a moment. When people feel genuinely listened to, something remarkable happens. They become more open, more cooperative, and more trusting. Defensiveness decreases and connection increases. This is one of the most powerful psychological effects in communication. Human beings possess a deep need for validation. Validation does not necessarily mean agreement. It means acknowledging that another person's thoughts, emotions, and experiences are real and worthy of consideration. Many individuals spend their lives searching for people who truly understand them. When they encounter someone who listens attentively, they often feel an immediate sense of comfort and trust. This is why listening is not simply a communication skill. It is a relationship skill. It is a leadership skill. It is an influence skill. It is a life skill. Listening creates emotional safety. When people feel emotionally safe, they communicate more honestly. They share ideas, concerns, dreams, and challenges without fear of immediate judgment. This openness strengthens relationships and improves understanding. Powerful communicators know that information is often hidden beneath the surface of words. A person may say they are fine while feeling overwhelmed. A colleague may express frustration while actually feeling unappreciated. Family member may appear angry while experiencing disappointment or sadness. Effective listeners pay attention not only to words, but also to emotions. They listen for meaning rather than simply hearing sounds. This deeper level of listening allows them to understand what others truly need. Another important aspect of listening is presence. Modern life is filled with distractions. Phones, notifications, social media, emails, and countless responsibilities compete constantly for attention. As a result, many conversations occur while people are only partially engaged. They nod while checking messages. They respond while thinking about other tasks. They hear without fully listening. Unfortunately, partial attention often creates partial understanding. People can immediately sense when someone is distracted. They may not say anything, but they feel it. This feeling weakens trust and connection. Powerful communicators understand that presence is one of the greatest gifts they can offer another person. When they listen, they focus completely on the conversation. Their attention communicates respect. Their presence communicates value. Their focus communicates importance. Another reason listening is so powerful is that it helps communicators learn. People who only speak can share what they already know. People who listen gain access to new ideas, experiences, perspectives, and knowledge. Every person possesses information you do not have. Every conversation contains lessons waiting to be discovered. Those who listen consistently become wiser because they continuously learn from others. Listening also helps prevent misunderstandings. Many conflicts occur because individuals make assumptions rather than seeking clarity. They interpret statements incorrectly. They jump to conclusions. They react before understanding. These behaviors create unnecessary tension. Smart communicators ask questions. They clarify meanings. Seek understanding before forming judgments. This approach reduces conflict and improves relationships. Play a vital role in effective listening. Questions demonstrate curiosity. They encourage deeper conversation. They help uncover important information. Most importantly, they show people that their thoughts matter. When communicators ask thoughtful questions, they create opportunities for meaningful dialogue. People appreciate conversations where they feel genuinely interesting rather than merely tolerated. Another powerful aspect of listening is empathy. Empathy allows communicators to step into another person's perspective. It involves understanding how someone feels and why they feel that way. Empathy strengthens communication because it creates connection. People trust individuals who understand them. Trust creates openness. Openness creates honesty. Honesty creates stronger relationships. Listening with empathy does not require agreeing with everything someone says. It simply requires respecting their experience. A person can disagree respectfully while still listening with compassion and understanding. One of the greatest obstacles to listening is ego. The ego constantly seeks attention, recognition, and validation. It wants to prove itself correct. It wants to demonstrate knowledge. It wants to dominate conversations. Unfortunately, ego often prevents learning and connection. Powerful communicators understand that conversations are not competitions. The goal is not to win. The goal is to understand. When people release the need to constantly prove themselves, they become better listeners and stronger communicators. Patience is another essential quality. Some individuals interrupt frequently because they become excited, impatient, or eager to express their own opinions. While interruptions may seem harmless, they often send a message that the speaker's thoughts are less important. This can damage trust and discourage openness. Patient listeners allow others to complete their thoughts. They resist the urge to interrupt. They create space for expression. This patience communicates respect and maturity. Listening also strengthens leadership. People naturally follow leaders who understand them. Employees support managers who listen. Students respect teachers who listen. Families trust parents who listen. Relationships thrive when listening becomes a priority. Leadership is not only about giving direction, it is also about understanding the people being led. This understanding begins with listening. Another important truth is that listening improves speaking. The more individuals understand people, the more effectively they can communicate with them. Listening provides valuable information about needs, concerns, motivations, and perspectives. This information allows communicators to adapt messages more effectively. In this way, listening and speaking work together better. Listening creates better communication. Better communication creates stronger influence. Stronger influence creates greater success. One of the most valuable outcomes of listening is connection. People rarely remember every detail of a conversation. They often remember how the conversation made them feel. When someone feels heard, understood, and respected, they remember that experience. Emotional impact remains long after the words disappear. This is why listening is one of the most powerful communication tools available. It builds trust without force. It creates influence without pressure. It strengthens relationships without manipulation. It allows people to feel valued in a world where many feel ignored. Mastering the art of listening transforms communication because it transforms relationships. When people know they are truly heard, they become more willing to hear you in return. This mutual understanding forms the foundation of powerful communication. Example: a manager named Bilal supervised a team of employees in a growing organization. He was intelligent, experienced, and hardworking. However, his team often seemed disengaged and unmotivated. Bill believed the solution was giving more instructions and providing clearer directions. So he spent most meetings talking and explaining what needed to be done. Despite his efforts, performance continued to decline. One day he attended a leadership seminar where he learned about the power of listening. The speaker explained that employees often want to feel heard before they are willing to fully commit. Bill decided to change his approach. During meetings, he began asking questions and encouraging employees to share ideas, concerns, and suggestions. Instead of immediately offering solutions, he focused on listening carefully. He discovered several challenges affecting team performance that he had never noticed before. As employees felt heard, their engagement increased. They became more motivated, cooperative, and invested in their work. Within a few months, team performance improved significantly. Bill realized that leadership was not only about speaking effectively, it was also about listening effectively. The change in results did not come from talking more, it came from listening better. His experience demonstrates an important lesson. Powerful communication begins not when we speak, but when we truly listen. Understanding others creates the trust, connection, and respect that every successful relationship requires. Chapter 5. The Secret. Power of words and their impact on the human mind. Words are among the most powerful tools ever given to human beings. They cannot be touched or seen in the same way as physical objects, yet they possess the ability to inspire hope, create confidence, heal emotional wounds, strengthen relationships, and transform lives. At the same time, words can also create fear, destroy confidence, damage relationships, and leave emotional scars that last for years. Every day, people use thousands of words without fully understanding the psychological impact those words have on themselves and others. Many assume communication is simply the act of speaking, yet every word carries emotional meaning. Every word influences perception. Every word creates an effect within the human mind. Powerful communicators understand this truth. They recognize that words are not merely sounds. They are tools that shape reality. The human brain constantly interprets language. When people hear words, they do not simply process information. They create mental pictures, emotional responses, and personal meanings. This process happens automatically and often unconsciously. For example, when someone hears encouraging words, they may immediately feel motivated, hopeful, and confident. When they hear harsh criticism, they may experience anxiety, disappointment, or self-doubt. The words themselves are invisible, but their psychological effects are very real. This is why communication should never be treated carelessly. Words have consequences. Quality of our communication often determines the quality of our relationships, opportunities, and experiences. One reason words are so powerful is because they influence beliefs. Beliefs shape actions. Actions shape results. Results shape life. Many people spend years living according to beliefs that were created by words they heard long ago. A child repeatedly told that they are capable may grow into a confident adult willing to pursue ambitious goals. A child repeatedly told that they are not good enough may spend years struggling with insecurity despite possessing tremendous potential. Words spoken by parents, teachers, friends, leaders, and mentors often become internal voices that influence behavior for decades. This demonstrates the enormous responsibility that comes with communication. Every conversation has the potential to strengthen or weaken another person's confidence. Powerful communicators choose their words carefully because they understand this responsibility. Another important psychological principle is that people often respond more strongly to emotional language than logical language. Facts inform the mind, emotions move the mind. This is why memorable speeches, inspiring stories, and meaningful conversations remain in people's memories long after detailed facts are forgotten. When communication creates emotion, it becomes more memorable. People remember experiences that made them feel something. They remember encouragement during difficult times. They remember words of support. During moments of doubt, they remember kindness during moments of pain. These emotional experiences create lasting impact. Positive language is especially powerful. Positive language does not mean ignoring reality or pretending problems do not exist. It means communicating in ways that encourage growth, possibility, and solutions. Many individuals unconsciously use negative language when facing challenges. They say things such as, "I cannot do this. This is impossible. Nothing ever works for me." Over time, these statements influence mindset. The brain begins accepting them as truth. Eventually, behavior changes to match those beliefs. Positive communicators approach situations differently, acknowledge difficulties while focusing on possibilities. Instead of saying, "I cannot do this," they may say, "I have not learned how to do this yet." Instead of saying everything is going wrong, they may say, "This situation is challenging, but I can learn from it." These small changes in language produce significant psychological effects. The mind responds differently when exposed to empowering words. Words also influence relationships. People naturally move closer to those who make them feel respected, appreciated, and understood. At the same time, they often distance themselves from those who consistently use negative, hurtful, or dismissive language. Respectful communication creates emotional safety. Emotional safety strengthens trust. Trust strengthens relationships. Strong relationships improve every area of life. This is why thoughtful communication remains one of the most valuable skills a person can develop. Another fascinating aspect of language is the power of self-talk. Every individual carries on an internal conversation throughout the day. Some of these conversations are positive and supportive. Others are critical and destructive. The way people speak to themselves often becomes the foundation for how they feel about themselves. Someone who constantly repeats negative thoughts may gradually weaken their confidence, motivation, and resilience. Someone who practices constructive self-talk often develops greater emotional strength and optimism. Powerful communicators understand that communication begins internally. Before influencing others, they learn to influence themselves. Their internal language becomes a source of encouragement rather than limitation. Words also shape perception. The same situation can appear completely different depending on the language used. To describe a challenge can be viewed as an opportunity for growth. A mistake can be viewed as a lesson. A failure can be viewed as feedback. This does not change reality, but it changes interpretation. Interpretation influences attitude. Attitude influences behavior. Behavior influences outcomes. Smart communicators use language that promotes productive thinking rather than unnecessary discouragement. Another powerful communication principle involves clarity. Many misunderstandings occur because people use vague, confusing, or complicated language. Smartest communicators often speak in simple, clear, and direct ways. Their goal is not to impress listeners with complex vocabulary. Their goal is understanding. Clarity increases trust because people appreciate messages that are easy to understand. Confusion creates distance. Clarity creates connection. Powerful communicators also understand the importance of timing. Even the right words may fail if delivered at the wrong moment. People become more receptive when they feel calm, respected, and emotionally ready to listen. This awareness allows communicators to deliver messages more effectively. Words gain greater power when combined with wisdom and emotional intelligence. Kindness is another essential aspect of powerful communication. Kindness does not indicate weakness. In reality, kindness often requires tremendous strength. Harsh words are easy. Thoughtful words require discipline. People never forget how they were treated during difficult moments. Few encouraging words spoken at the right time can change someone's entire day, sometimes even their entire life. This is why kindness remains one of the most influential communication strategies available. Powerful communicators also know when silence is necessary. Not every situation requires immediate response. Sometimes Silence allows emotions to settle, sometimes silence demonstrates respect, sometimes silence prevents unnecessary conflict. Ability to choose between speaking and remaining silent is itself a communication skill. Words possess tremendous power, but wisdom determines how that power is used. Ultimately, communication is about influence. Every word influences thoughts, emotions, perceptions, and relationships in some way. Whether that influence becomes positive or negative depends largely on the choices communicators make. Those who understand the psychology of language gain the ability to encourage, inspire, motivate, and uplift others. Their words become tools for growth rather than destruction. Their communication creates value rather and conflict. Their influence extends far beyond the moment of conversation. Example: a school teacher named Sarah taught a class filled with students from different backgrounds. One student named Hassan struggled academically and often performed poorly on exams. Many teachers had described him as lazy and incapable. Over time, Hassan began believing those descriptions. He stopped trying because he assumed failure was inevitable. Sarah noticed his lack of confidence and decided to change the way she communicated with him. Instead of focusing on mistakes, she focused on effort and improvement. Whenever Hassan made progress, she acknowledged it. She reminded him that ability grows through practice and persistence. Her words were simple, but consistent. Gradually, Hassan's attitude began to change. He became more willing to participate in class, ask questions, and complete assignments. His performance improved steadily, and by the end of the year, he achieved results that many people thought were impossible. Years later, Hassan credited Sarah for helping him believe in himself. She had not given him extraordinary resources. She had not changed his circumstances. She had changed her words. Those words changed his beliefs. Those beliefs changed his actions. Those actions changed his future. His story demonstrates a powerful truth. Words have the ability to influence the direction of a human life. When used wisely, they become one of the most powerful forces for growth, success, and transformation. Chapter 6: Building Charisma Through Communication. Many people believe charisma is a mysterious quality that only a lucky few possess. They look at successful leaders, speakers, entrepreneurs, and influential personalities and assume these individuals were born with a special gift that naturally attracts attention and admiration. However, the truth is far more encouraging. Charisma is not magic, and it is not reserved for a select group of people. Charisma is largely the result of communication, habits, attitudes, and behaviors that can be learned, developed, and strengthened over time. At its core, charisma is the ability to make people feel good in your presence. It is the ability to create connection, trust, interest, and positive emotion through communication. Charismatic people are not necessarily the smartest, richest, or most talented individuals in a room. They are often the people who know how to make others feel important, respected, and understood. One of the biggest misconceptions about charisma is that it requires being loud, outgoing, or constantly talking. In reality, many highly charismatic people are calm, thoughtful, and even introverted. What makes them attractive is not the volume of their voice, but the quality of their presence. Presence is one of the foundations of charisma. Presence means being fully engaged in the moment. When charismatic communicators interact with others, they focus completely on the conversation. They do not constantly look around the room, search for distractions, or appear impatient. Their attention communicates respect. Their focus communicates value. Their presence communicates importance. People naturally enjoy being around those who make them feel genuinely seen and heard. Another important element of charisma is confidence. As discussed earlier, confidence influences how people perceive a communicator. Charismatic individuals project confidence, not because they believe they are better than others, but because they trust themselves. They speak with clarity. They express opinions respectfully. They remain calm under pressure. This confidence creates a sense of stability that others find reassuring. People are naturally drawn toward individuals who appear comfortable with themselves. Authenticity also plays a major role in charisma. Many people mistakenly try to become charismatic by copying someone else's personality. They imitate gestures, speech patterns, or behaviors, hoping to appear more impressive. Unfortunately, people often recognize imitation. Authenticity creates far greater impact. Charismatic communicators embrace their unique personalities. While continuously improving their communication skills, they do not pretend to be someone else. They become the best version of themselves. This authenticity creates trust. Trust strengthens influence. Influence increases charisma. Another powerful aspect of charisma is emotional intelligence. Emotionally intelligent communicators understand their own emotions and recognize the emotions of others. They know when to encourage. They know when to listen. They know when to remain silent. They know when to provide support. This awareness allows them to respond appropriately in different situations. People appreciate those who understand their emotional experiences. This appreciation often develops into admiration and trust. Optimism is another characteristic frequently associated with charismatic individuals. Optimistic communicators create energy. They focus on possibilities rather than limitations. They inspire hope rather than spreading negativity. This does not mean they ignore problems or pretend difficulties do not exist. Instead, they approach challenges with a constructive mindset. People are naturally attracted to those who help them see opportunities during difficult times. Hope is powerful, and communicators who create hope often become highly influential. The ability to tell stories also contributes significantly to charisma. Human beings are naturally drawn to stories because stories create emotion, imagination, and connection. Facts may educate people, but stories help people experience ideas. Charismatic communicators use stories to make messages memorable and meaningful. They understand that people often remember stories long after they forget detailed information. Stories create emotional engagement. Emotional engagement strengthens influence. Influence enhances charisma. Another essential quality of charismatic communication is genuine curiosity. Charismatic individuals are interested in people. They ask thoughtful questions. They listen attentively. They seek to understand rather than simply impress. This curiosity makes conversations feel meaningful. People enjoy interactions where they feel valued rather than judged. Curiosity transforms communication from a performance into a connection. Body language also plays a critical role. Charismatic communicators often display open, welcoming body language. They maintain appropriate eye contact. They smile sincerely. They stand confidently. They avoid behaviors that create distance or discomfort. These nonverbal signals influence how others feel during interactions. Because communication extends far beyond words, body language significantly affects charisma. Another important principle is generosity. Charismatic people often give value freely. They share knowledge, encouragement, support, and appreciation without constantly expecting something in return. This generosity creates goodwill. People remember those who contribute positively to their lives. The more value communicators provide, the more positively they are perceived. Humor can also enhance charisma when used appropriately. Humor creates connection because it reduces tension and encourages positive emotion. People often enjoy spending time with those who can make them smile or laugh. However, effective humor never depends on embarrassing or hurting others. Most powerful humor creates enjoyment while maintaining respect. Humility is another trait that strengthens charisma. Many people assume influence comes from constantly proving superiority. In reality, humility often creates stronger connections. Humble communicators acknowledge mistakes. They remain open to learning. They appreciate the contributions of others. This attitude makes them approachable and trustworthy. People respect confidence, but they often connect more deeply with humility. One reason charisma is so powerful is because it influences Emotional memory people may forget specific details of a conversation, but they rarely forget how someone made them feel. If a communicator consistently creates positive emotional experiences, people begin associating those feelings with that individual over time. This association strengthens relationships and influence. Charismatic communication, therefore, involves much more than words. It involves creating positive emotional experiences that people remember. Another key aspect of charisma is consistency. Many individuals behave differently depending on circumstances. They may be kind one day and dismissive the next, confident one moment and insecure the next. Such inconsistency creates uncertainty. Charismatic communicators strive for consistency. Their values, attitudes, and behavior remain stable. This reliability builds trust. Trust increases respect. Respect strengthens influence. Consistency transforms occasional positive impressions into lasting reputation. Patience also contributes to charisma. Some people constantly rush conversations, interrupt others, or appear eager to move on. This behavior can make others feel unimportant. Charismatic communicators take their time. They allow conversations to develop naturally. They give people space to express themselves. This patience communicates respect and emotional maturity. One of the most beautiful truths about charisma is that it is available to everyone. It does not depend on appearance, wealth, status, or background. It depends on communication habits that anyone can develop. Every person can become more present. Every person can improve listening skills. Every person can develop confidence. Every person can practice empathy and authenticity. These qualities gradually build charisma over time. The journey does not require becoming someone else. It requires becoming a stronger, more connected version of yourself. When people master these communication principles, they naturally become more influential. Others enjoy their presence, trust their opinions, value their relationships, and remember their impact. That is the true power of charisma. It is not about attracting attention for its own sake. It is about creating meaningful connections that inspire trust, respect, and positive influence. Example: a young businessman named Imran joined a company where many employees competed aggressively for attention. During meetings, people often tried to dominate conversations and impress management. Imran was different. Instead of constantly talking about himself, he focused on understanding others, listened carefully during discussions. He encouraged colleagues to share ideas. He showed appreciation for their contributions. Speaking, he communicated confidently but respectfully. Over time, something interesting happened. People naturally gravitated toward him. Colleagues sought his advice. Managers trusted his judgment. Team members enjoyed working with him. Although Imran was not the loudest person in the company, he became one of the most influential. His influence did not come from authority or position. It came from charisma created through communication. By making people feel respected, valued, and understood, he earned trust and admiration. His story demonstrates an important lesson. Charisma is not about commanding attention. It is about creating connection. Those who master this principle often become the most respected and influential communicators in any environment. Chapter 7: Mastering the Psychology of Influence and Persuasion. Every day people attempt to influence one another. Parents influence children, teachers influence students, leaders influence teams, businesses influence customers, friends influence friends, and individuals influence themselves through their own thoughts and beliefs. Influence is a natural part of human communication. Whether people realize it or not, almost every conversation contains some element of persuasion. Many individuals misunderstand persuasion. They imagine manipulation, pressure, or control. However, true persuasion is not about forcing people to do something against their will. Real persuasion is the ability to communicate ideas in a way that helps people understand value, possibility, and opportunity. It is based on trust, understanding, and connection rather than pressure. The most influential communicators understand an important psychological truth. People rarely change because they are forced to change. They change because they choose to change. This means influence begins with understanding rather than convincing many. People enter conversations focused entirely on what they want. They think about their own goals, opinions, and desired outcomes. While this approach may seem logical, it often creates resistance. People naturally resist feeling controlled. They protect their independence. They want their choices to feel like their own powerful. Communicators understand this psychological reality instead of forcing ideas onto others. They create conditions where people become open to those ideas naturally. The foundation of influence is trust. Without trust, even the best message may fail. With trust, even difficult messages become easier to accept. People listen more carefully to individuals they trust. They value their opinions. They give them the benefit of the doubt. This is why trust is one of the most valuable assets a communicator can possess. Trust develops through honesty, consistency, competence, and genuine concern for others. It cannot be demanded. It must be earned. Another key principle of persuasion is understanding human needs. Every person has desires, fears, goals, hopes, and concerns. These internal motivations influence behavior more than external pressure. When communicators understand what matters most to others, they become far more effective. People care deeply about security. They care about respect. They care about belonging. They care about growth. They care about happiness. They care about significance. Messages that connect with these psychological needs often become far more persuasive than messages based solely on facts. This does not mean facts are unimportant. Facts provide credibility, but emotions provide motivation. Human beings often make decisions emotionally and then justify those decisions logically. Powerful communicators understand both sides of this process. They combine logic and emotion in balanced ways, present information clearly while also creating emotional connection. Stories are among the most powerful tools of influence. For thousands of years, stories have shaped beliefs, values, cultures, and behaviors. Allow people to experience ideas rather than merely hear them. They create emotional engagement. They stimulate imagination. They make messages memorable. A well-told story often influences people more effectively than a long list of statistics. This is because stories help listeners see themselves within the message. When people emotionally connect with a story, they become more open to its lessons and ideas. Another important aspect of persuasion is credibility. People are more likely to trust messages from individuals who appear knowledgeable, honest, and reliable. Credibility is built through actions as much as words. When communicators consistently demonstrate integrity, their influence increases. Promises kept strengthen credibility. Promises broken weaken credibility. Consistency between words and actions creates trust. Trust creates influence. Influence creates results. Sympathy also plays a major role in persuasion. Empathy allows communicators to understand another person's perspective. This understanding helps them address concerns, fears, and objections more effectively. People are far more likely to listen when they feel understood. Empathy creates connection. Connection reduces resistance. Reduced resistance increases openness. Openness improves communication. Many persuasion attempts fail because people focus on speaking rather than listening. They present arguments without understanding the audience. They assume they know what others need. As a result, their message misses the target. Powerful communicators begin by listening. They ask questions. They seek understanding. They learn about motivations, concerns, and desires. Only then do they present ideas. This approach dramatically increases effectiveness. Confidence is another important element of influence. People naturally respond more positively to individuals who believe in their message. Confidence signals conviction. Conviction signals certainty. Certainty often inspires trust. However, confidence must remain balanced with humility. Overconfidence can create resistance. Arrogance damages connection. The most persuasive communicators combine confidence with respect. They express strong beliefs While remaining open to discussion, timing is also critical. Even the best message may fail if delivered at the wrong moment. People become more receptive when they feel calm, respected, and emotionally prepared. Smart communicators recognize when someone is ready to listen and when additional patience is needed. Influence requires sensitivity to context. Another powerful principle is reciprocity. Human beings naturally feel inclined to respond positively when they receive value. When communicators help others, support others, or contribute positively, people often feel a desire to respond in kind. This principle explains why generosity strengthens influence. People remember those who provide value. The more value communicators offer, the more influence they often gain. Social proof is another psychological factor. People frequently look to others when making decisions. Observe behaviors, opinions, and actions around them. When individuals see others supporting an idea, they become more willing to consider it themselves. This tendency reflects the human desire for belonging and security. Understanding this principle helps communicators present ideas more effectively. Patience remains essential throughout the persuasion process. Many individuals become frustrated when people do not immediately agree with them. They push harder, argue more aggressively, and create unnecessary pressure. Unfortunately, this often increases resistance. Real influence takes time. People need opportunities to think, reflect, and evaluate. Powerful communicators respect this process. They understand that lasting change rarely occurs instantly. Authenticity also strengthens persuasion. People quickly recognize when someone is insincere. Authentic communicators believe in what they say. Their words align with their values. Their actions support their message. This authenticity creates trust and credibility. Without authenticity, persuasion becomes difficult. Authenticity influence becomes natural. One of the greatest lessons in communication is that influence begins with character. Techniques may attract temporary attention. Character creates lasting impact. People eventually judge communicators not only by what they say, but by who they are. Integrity, honesty, kindness, and consistency enhance every communication skill. Psychology of persuasion therefore extends far beyond clever words. It involves understanding human nature. It involves respecting others. It involves creating trust. It involves providing value. It involves communicating with authenticity and purpose. Those who master these principles become powerful communicators because they help people make informed decisions rather than forcing outcomes. Their influence feels natural rather than manipulative. Their communication creates cooperation rather than resistance. Their words inspire action because they are supported by trust and understanding. This is the true art of persuasion. It is not the power to control people, it is the ability to connect with people so effectively that they willingly consider new possibilities and ideas. Example: a sales consultant named Farhan worked for a company that struggled to attract clients. Many of his colleagues focused entirely on convincing customers to buy products. They delivered long presentations filled with information and pressure tactics. Farhan chose a different approach. Instead of immediately trying to sell, he began by asking questions. He listened carefully to potential clients. He learned about their challenges, goals, and concerns. Only after understanding their situation did he explain how the product could help. His conversations felt natural rather than forced. Clients felt respected rather than pressured. As a result, they trusted him. Over time, Farhan became the most successful consultant in the company. His success did not come from manipulation. It came from understanding. By focusing on trust, empathy, and genuine value, he became highly persuasive. His story demonstrates an important truth. People are rarely influenced by pressure. They are influenced by connection, trust, and understanding. Those who master these principles gain the ability to communicate ideas in ways that inspire action while maintaining respect and integrity. Conclusion: becoming a smart and powerful communicator. Every great journey begins with a single step, and every transformation begins with a single decision. The journey through this book has been a journey into the psychology of communication, a journey into understanding people's emotions, influence, confidence, connection, and the extraordinary power of words. Communication is far more than speaking. It is one of the most important forces shaping human life. It determines how relationships are built, how opportunities are created, how trust is earned, and how influence is developed. Every conversation leaves an impact. Every interaction creates an impression. Every word contributes to the story people tell themselves about who we are. One of the most important lessons in this book is that powerful communication is not reserved for a gifted few. It is not something only leaders, celebrities, or professional speakers can possess. It is a skill that anyone can develop through awareness, practice, patience, and commitment. Many people spend years believing that communication is simply about talking more. The truth is very different. Powerful communication begins with understanding. It begins with learning how people think, how emotions influence behavior, and how trust develops between individuals. Smartest communicators understand that communication is not about proving intelligence. It is about creating understanding. They know that complex ideas become valuable only when others can understand them. They focus on clarity rather than complexity, connection rather than competition, and understanding rather than ego. Confidence plays a crucial role in communication, but confidence is not something people are born with. It is something they build through action. Every conversation, every challenge, and every opportunity to express oneself becomes a chance to strengthen confidence. Fear of judgment that limits so many people loses its power when individuals realize that growth comes through participation, not perfection. The goal is not to speak perfectly. The goal is to communicate effectively. Listening emerged as one of the most powerful themes throughout this journey. True listening is a rare and valuable skill. It allows people to feel understood, respected, and appreciated. It creates trust where there was distance and connection where there was misunderstanding. Many people seek influence by speaking louder, yet the most influential communicators often gain influence because they listen better. Words themselves possess extraordinary power. They shape beliefs, influence emotions, strengthen confidence, and affect behavior. Words can inspire courage during difficult times and create hope when circumstances seem uncertain. They can help people discover strengths they never knew existed. This power carries responsibility. Every conversation offers an opportunity to encourage rather than discourage, build rather than destroy, to inspire rather than diminish. The communicators who understand this responsibility often leave lasting positive impacts wherever they go. Charisma is another quality that many people admire, but few fully understand. True charisma is not about attracting attention. It is about creating connection. It is about making people feel valued, important, and respected. Charismatic communicators do not focus solely on themselves. They focus on others. They create positive experiences. They make people feel seen, heard, and appreciated. As a result, people naturally trust and respect them. Influence and persuasion complete the picture of powerful communication. Real influence is never about manipulation. It is never about pressure. It is never about controlling others. True influence grows from trust, credibility, empathy, and understanding. People willingly follow ideas when they feel respected and understood. They become open to change when they trust the person presenting the message. This is why character remains the foundation of communication. Skills may attract attention. Character sustains influence throughout life. Every individual faces situations where communication determines outcomes: job interviews, business opportunities, friendships, family relationships, leadership roles, personal growth. Success in these areas often depends less on talent and more on the ability to communicate effectively. Knowledge alone is not enough. Potential alone is not enough. Opportunity alone is not enough. Communication acts as the bridge connecting potential to achievement. Many people spend years waiting for confidence before speaking, waiting for perfect circumstances before taking action, waiting for certainty before expressing ideas. However, growth rarely comes through waiting. Growth comes through action. Every conversation becomes practice, every challenge becomes a lesson, every experience becomes preparation for greater opportunities. Individuals who achieve extraordinary communication skills are not necessarily the most naturally talented, they are often the most consistent. Learners, they continue improving, they continue practicing, they continue growing. Communication mastery is not a destination, it is a lifelong process. There will always be new people to understand, new situations to navigate, and new opportunities to communicate more effectively. This continuous growth keeps communication exciting, meaningful, and valuable. As you move forward, remember that your voice matters. Your thoughts matter, your ideas matter. The world is filled with individuals who remain silent because they doubt themselves. Do not allow fear to hide your potential. Do not allow uncertainty to silence your contribution. Speak with honesty, listen with empathy, communicate with purpose, lead with integrity, use words to encourage growth and create value. The psychology of powerful communication is ultimately the psychology of human connection. When people feel understood, they trust. When they trust, they listen. When they listen, influence becomes possible. When influence is combined with integrity, positive change becomes inevitable. The goal is not simply to become a better speaker. The goal is to become a better communicator, a communicator who inspires confidence, creates trust, builds relationships, encourages growth, and leaves every conversation better than it was before. Ability to speak smart is one of the most valuable skills you will ever develop. It can transform relationships, strengthen careers, increase opportunities, and improve every area of life. Most importantly, it can help you become the person you are capable of becoming. The journey does not end with this book. In many ways, it begins here. Every conversation from this moment forward becomes an opportunity to apply what you have learned. Every interaction becomes a chance to practice. Every day becomes a chance to grow. Speak with confidence, listen with intention, communicate with wisdom, and remember that the most powerful communicators are not those who simply speak the most. They are those who connect the deepest. That is the true secret of mastering the psychology of powerful communication. The end.